Hey guys, great to see you. My name is Bren. Congratulations, you've made it past the new year and Groundhog's Day and all of this crazy weather. Please let us know in the chat where you're chiming in from. If you threw a dart at the US, I'm right in the middle, Oklahoma, and it is freezing. And we are getting ready to have a really bad storm here. Please let us know because it's no accident that you are here. And I won't claim to have all the answers, but I do know that someone right here, right now, needs to hear our story. And when I say our story, I mean my family's story, because truthfully, we have walked through hell. Now we walk through it like we own the place and take water back to those still in the fire. My name is Bren Harris. I founded Warrior Moms by Bren, now the Warrior Nation, when my son was medically injured at 22 months of age. We really have walked through hell. And if you know anyone who has a child that's been medically injured, please give them a hug. And if you know anyone who's the parent of a teenager right now, really give them a hug. We have not been to school at all in weeks because of illness. Not ours, but our state apparently has a flu epidemic. We're healthy and whole and just enjoying life and doing a little bit of world schooling as opposed to classroom learning. And hey, guys, good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. And I am looking at a couple of different screens. Please forgive me for not looking at the camera. Hey, guys, Georgia in the house, Seattle in the house. Oh, Brooklyn in the house. Good to see you guys. And a little bit about me. My son is now a teenager. He towers over me. When puberty hit, I mean, he's already 6'1" and just turned 16. So we've got a few more inches to go on his growth chart. And I know that if you've met one child with special needs or a medical injury, you've met one child with special needs or a medical injury. It's not one size fits all, just like our medical system is not one size fits all. I have a relative that can take a simple allergy pill over the counter called Sudafed, and they fall asleep if I ever take it, which I try not to. I'm awake for days. And I think it's really important that we say, what's right for me and what's right for my journey? What's right for my child's journey? And yeah, we've really had to fight for our medical freedom rights. And I know we're not alone, and I want you to know you are not alone. And the important thing here is that we can have differing opinions or different approaches, and we can all play in the same sandbox. A lot of this is starting to come out. So those of us preaching the truth and screaming it from the rooftops, we're not so much the outliers anymore. We know that fear motivates people to do things they normally wouldn't do. Hear me, warriors. Hear me. Fear motivates people to do things they normally wouldn't do in a very calm and sane and strategic, logical environment. But when we have media telling us 24/7 that we're all going to die if we don't do X, Y, and Z, that starts to wear on our psyche. And that's okay. We didn't know what we didn't know. And I mentioned last week, my son was having a really rough day. And sometimes that just happens. There's no rhyme or reason. We have overhauled our entire lifestyle. He and I both have been gluten-free for over a decade. And mainly back here in the States. He was born in Japan in a military facility, in a hospital there. And we miss it because it's warm. It was tropical. Oh my goodness. And right now in the midst of winter, we really miss it. Hey guys, good to see you. Oh, Harlem in the house. Good to see you, brother. Good. Hey, Florida in the house. I am so glad you guys are here. I'll be straight with you. This is not a journey for the weak, the weak or the wimpy. And there are thousands of us joining together to share the good news that, hey, we can pivot and we can have a healthier finish, even if we didn't have a strong start. Hear me, warriors. Write that down. We can have a healthier finish even if we didn't have a strong start. Now, for us, we do not do traditional brick and mortar school. We do a charter school, and we have a lot of self-directed learning and hands-on social learning and world schooling so that we can take the skills we learn in our lessons and apply them in real life. How many adults, young adults, do you know that don't know how to carry on a conversation because they've been behind their screen the whole time? And we will not have that happening in our life. Now, do I have all the answers? No. Will I share our story and you can give you enough information to make up your own choices? Now, I know that sometimes when life gives us resistance, it's a little bit like lifting weights. Today, I got up and I had a Zoom first thing in the morning, and I actually did my upper body workout and made sure I got enough protein. Because when your son towers over you and is over a foot taller than you are, you got to stay strong physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I don't have a choice. Now, I'll be straight with you. I've always wanted to learn sign language. I've always wanted to be healthy for no reason other than it fits my lifestyle. Well, I was blessed with a special needs child who was medically injured at 22 months of age. Now, there is a faction that is called vaccine denial, and we'll talk about that in a different episode. But I just want to unzip my heart a little bit and let you know that give yourself grace. We don't know what we don't know. And when we know better, we can choose better. Hear me, warriors. When we know better, we can choose better. So knowledge is one of our words tonight. And American Sign Language, my son's name is Zach. So we jokingly refer to our sign language version as Zachanese. Sometimes he will just come up with his own signs, but this is put your dominant hand, thumb to your fingers, and just tap your head. Knowledge. Yeah, knowledge. And knowledge, when we know better, we can choose better. I want you, when you're going through your week, hear my voice, warriors. When we know better, we can choose better. And that's okay. And we are not here to argue, create drama, any of this stuff. We're here to share our journey and hopefully help others choose better. Now, what am I talking about? We have a lot of stats to go over tonight, but I really hear me. Wherever you are, start there. Just like GPS. Everybody has a smartphone. When we plug in the coordinates to get to where we want to be, we click on current location. Our current location, are we curious about what our medical rights are? Are we curious about what our medical freedom is? Or have we already been experienced a medical event and now we're saying, wow, how do I pivot? How do I course correct? How do I make better decisions for my health so that I can be healthy and strong to help the people I'm called to help? Because hear me, you have a calling on your life. You have a calling on your life. And just because it doesn't look the way we've envisioned it doesn't mean it isn't a calling. Because we like to do just subconsciously, the little Hollywood story arc. And sometimes our calling shows up with a vaccine injured child or a medically injured friend or someone with a chronic illness so that we can pour into their lives and become stronger together. Now, not everyone agrees, and that's okay. And I want to clarify, this is our story, and my goal is to shout it from the rooftops so that if it helps one person avoid the devastation we have lived these last 15 years, then mic drop, I'm good. And we are, oh, thank you guys. Yes, the more you know, the better you know. Oh, Oklahoma in the house. Good to see you guys. And for me, the key is, there's so much information and there's so much conflicting information in our world. I'm going to start with my why. And this is my son who towers over me. His name is Zach, and this is us on National Hug Day a few weeks ago. And we were on a medical trip. We have a holistic doctor out of state, and we travel several hours one way to detox from heavy metals. Now, why would we need to detox from heavy metals? Some of that is medical procedures. Some of that is the toxins in our environment. Now, 5 years ago, we made this trek and we trusted and we took this leap of faith. And they did heavy metal testing on him. And anything over 10 is toxic. He tested 117. Hear me. Anything over 10 for heavy metals is toxic. My son tested 117. I'm like, no wonder he can't sleep. No wonder he's having trouble learning. No wonder he's nonverbal. And we have taken the last 5 years and just systematically and intentionally and gently with a professional detoxed his entire body. And when we started that detox, he started growing. And you can see he already towers over me. And it was so funny because this kid is such a road tripper, and he doesn't like being trapped in the house when there's ice storm hitting us. And we're just saying, hey, what are you interested in? And his thing is he loves to organize and run the kitchen. Okay, let's backtrack. A few minutes ago, I said I always wanted to learn sign language. I always wanted to be healthy, and I always wanted a personal chef. Well, trifecta, here we go. I have that. And I am blessed because it's not arriving at a certain level of success that makes us who we are. It's who we become along the way. I was not even remotely the person I was, 12 years ago when we started this actual journey and received his diagnosis. We didn't even know we could detox until 5 years ago. So start where you are. And when we know better, we can choose better. Okay. And if you're just joining us, please let us know in the chat where you're chiming in from. If you throw a dart at the US, I'm right in the middle, Oklahoma, and we are a deep freeze right now. And just a few days ago, it was like 85. Now it's freezing. And we have all the schools are closed again tomorrow, the brick and mortar schools, because of the dangerous roads. Now, I realize this is a challenging topic, and I want you to let me start with an A. I'm going to share our journey. Now, as I mentioned, my son was born in a military hospital in Japan. It was beautiful. It's like Hawaii, little mini size. And we got to live there for years, and it was beautiful. However, being in the military medical system, I didn't have a lot of choices. I couldn't say, no, I'm not going to be induced because I'm already at 39 weeks. I didn't have a choice to say, no, I'm not taking drugs. No, I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z. And no, I'm not going to have him be loaded with vaccines the very first day of life. I didn't know what I didn't know. And I'm very transparent with others and with my son. Buddy, I just didn't know. I just didn't know. And more information and more data points are coming out showing that children, oh, hi, Wisconsin in the house. Good to see you guys. We're at the point where he can understand much more than he communicate. Now, his official diagnosis, we do not have autism. We have a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, level 3, nonverbal. Now, theoretically, that means lifelong care. Lifelong care. Now, the doctors back then said he would never be able to feed himself. He would never be able to be out of diapers. He would never be able to go to school. Well, we've blown that out of the water. How do you like us now? Just because someone in a position of authority tells you your child can't do something doesn't mean it's gospel. Okay, hear me, warriors. Just because someone in a position of authority, whether that's an educator telling you can't come to school if you don't have all these vaccines, whether that's a doctor that says you're going to die if you don't get all these vaccines. Well, let me tell you, the stats are in, and the propensity for adverse reactions is so great that there is an entire database called VAERS. Now, write this down. This is note-rich, camera-rich environment. Vaccine adverse Event Reporting System. VAERS, Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. I have a friend that is an incredible mogul in the beauty industry. She got the vaccine a few years ago and ended up with Bell's palsy. That's one of the number one side effects of the batch. When you look, you can actually look up the actual on your card that they give you to show you that you had the COVID vax. You can punch in those numbers and it will show you all the adverse events connected with that. And we'll do more about that in a little bit. Now, most recent study that came out, and for my science people and my medical people, this is peer-reviewed, double-blind. Over 47,000 children age birth to 9 years old. Okay? Hear me? Okay, here we go. Now, this is camera rich. I'm just going to have these photos up for just a moment. Vaccine and Neurodevelopmental Disorders, a study of 9-year-old children enrolled in Medicaid. Now, this was in Florida. This study these findings were just released a few weeks ago, maybe about 2 weeks ago. And they studied over 47,000 children enrolled in Medicaid in Florida, birth to 9 years old. Okay. And you can see here the results of these 155,000 9-year-old children revealed that vaccination was associated with significantly increased odds for all measured neurological developmental disorders. We just call it NDD. And the interesting thing is that a lot of people choose not to foster kids because of the requirements to take them to all of these medical appointments. Now, do we want our children to suffer? Hey guys, good to see you. Do we want our children to suffer? Well, one of my mentors says, hey, let's look at the disease and let's look at the remedy. Okay. And one of the things that I find so interesting, and I didn't know this was a scientific study, my son doesn't get sick. And we stopped vaccinating a long time ago because he was so injured. And when all the schools were out, when we were going to the classroom in the brick and mortar, he never got sick. And that's because of our lifestyle and we're stacking that deck. You know, we talk about habit stacking a lot in our home. We are stacking that deck so that our immune system is so beefed up that we don't have the giant sickness that all the other people, all his peers have. So here's a graph. Get ready for a picture. The outcomes of this study that was peer reviewed. On your left, autism spectrum disorder, almost 3 times more likely. The third column, epilepsy or seizures, 3.5 times more likely. Learning disorders, 6.8 times more likely. And on the far right, at least one of the listed neurological disorders. Why is that? We are finding that, and this is evolving and coming out. Hey guys, good to see you. Hey, Tennille, can you put in the comments VAERS, Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, and we have thank you, Queen. We have so many things to share with you that, you know, I can't do that in the scope of this. And we also need to be honest and say, yeah, you're not censoring us, but you're still censoring us. So we have a VIP group that will get together. Save the date. Please put this in your calendars, February 28th. That's 2 weeks from tonight. And we will go into this more in depth. Now, why are we sharing this information? My son was vaccine injured. I mean, that's straight up. That's exactly what happened. I mean, he was I have photos before and after where he's just this vibrant young baby. And I mean, hitting all his milestones and crawling and walking and talking. And then boom, 22 months, completely stop nursing, and he has the MMR. Yeah. And I mean, it was night and day. And I always thought people were nuts when they would say stuff like this. It's always impossible until it happens to your family. Hear me, warriors. It's always impossible until it happens to your family. And my hope and my prayer is that you, if this hasn't affected your family, that you will take this and share this with love and respect and kindness with a family that might need to see this and that know that there is hope. Now, again, camera rich environment, take a screenshot. And when I post the replay, I will put the link to this VIP group 2 weeks from tonight. Take back your right to parent your way, February 25th, 8 p.m. Eastern. And you can register here. And I will put the link in the description box when I repost this. Now, remember our first word tonight, knowledge. Okay. Knowledge. When we know better, we can choose better. Then what does that lead to? Well, that's empowerment. So take a C to your non-dominant bicep and bring it forward. Empower. Empower. Make stronger, more confident. Now, I've told this story before. In 7th grade, my son just started 10th grade. In 7th grade, he was so excited to get to go to the big kids school. I mean, this kid was ready an hour early. We drive up and they meet us. A TA, an hourly TA, meets us at the curb and announces to all the parents and all the students on the sidewalk right there at drop off, Zach can't come into the building because he doesn't have this vaccine or this vaccine or this. And I looked at her and I said, excuse me, we have an exemption on file. Oh, well, I didn't know that. Well, we have an exemption on file and it's illegal for you to keep him from entering the building. Oh, okay. And then she lets us come in the building. And then I find out later the medically segregating the students that don't have these vaccines, which is illegal. Now, hear my heart. I am a lover by nature, but you mess with my kid, I turn into a grizzly mama. I was on the horn to the attorney. I was on the horn to the school board, to the superintendent. And bless Michael G. and his crew, 3 families got together and spearheaded a lawsuit that I was honored to testify in. And we won at the state Supreme Court level against that specific our former school district. Hear my heart, warriors. Just because someone says this is the way it goes doesn't make it so. And you are born for such a time as this, to be a voice for the voiceless, to step into your calling and champion your purpose. Maybe it doesn't look like that. I never thought I would need to be this uncomfortable to walk in my calling. And I'm just enough light for the step I'm on. I don't have any special skills as that. I will not quit. I will not quit, and I will do whatever it takes so that we can have medical choice and medical freedom, especially for our kiddos that are super kids. Now, hear my heart. This is a really politically charged topic. We're not here to talk about that. Save the drama for your mama. Okay, we are here to talk more about what are our rights. Now, just in case you don't know, the 14th Amendment of our Constitution protects your right. The due process clause in the 14th Amendment protects your right as a parent to make medical decisions for your minor child. No doctor, no educator, no authority ever told us this. We did it because we were desperate enough to find out the truth. And I am so proud of you for being here. And remember, Feb 28th at 8 p.m. And you do need a special link to get into our VIP class. Take back your right to parent your way. I'm going to put that that little thing up. Please take a screenshot. And once I post this as a reel, I will have that link. Now, on Instagram, they won't allow me to do that, but you can find this streaming on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And I know you are here to walk in purpose and champion your calling. Please share this. And remember, the Warrior Nation is your source for truth and transparency. Know your rights. Warriors, unite.